Hi, and welcome to my training on how to create unbreakable boundaries. By the end of this training, you're going to know how you can set, you can communicate, and stick to boundaries that are going to help you protect your time, your energy, and your sanity. Now, we all know teaching's never been more challenging than ever. And if you let it, it's going to take everything from you, your energy, your evenings, your weekends, your health. Boundaries aren't selfish, they're your way to survive teaching. Without them, you're going to end up burning out. It is as simple as that. So, when we reframe that, boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're not about, saying a big no to everything. It's about protecting yourself. It is about reframing. It's about protecting you so you can remain calm, focused, and present for the students that you know who need you, but also protecting your well-being and your energy for you, but also your family. So the first thing we're going to do is I want you to spot your leak points even. Where does it creep in? Where are you just, doing those things you shouldn't be doing? Things that really come, like, checking your emails 10 o'clock at night, or you're sitting watching the television with your partner and your kids on your phone. And every time you do it, you're picking it up, you're checking, it's all these emails coming in for school. Or you maybe taking extra clubs on. Or you taking extra cover or duties that you don't have the capacity for. Do you find yourself saying yes when you actually mean no? You're taking Morgan home every night. Do you find yourself agreeing to stuff, then you walking away and say, I just wish I'd had the confidence to say no to this. I wish I'd told them, actually, I can't do it. I've got this to do tonight instead. So what I'd like you to do is now I'd like you to write down what are your two top leaks, the two issues that you're finding at the moment. Do you maybe find yourself saying, look, I am going to leave at 4 o'clock or 4:15, and you still start to work at 6 o'clock at night or 6:30 at night? Write down these down. These are identifying where the issues are. Something that I never really realised till I left teaching was I used to work through all my lunches. So, even though it was only half an hour, I'd be working through my lunch all the time, doing stuff. I thought, well, if I get all this stuff done now, I don't have to stay after school and stuff. But actually, that just wasn't giving me the time to decompress, to take a break. What we're going to look at now is building in your non-negotiables. These are the things that you will not compromise on. And this is something I do work with a lot when I work with clients, is kind of getting back, stripping it all back to what's their values, and this is where that would come in really useful. Makes it a lot easier to find out what those non-negotiables are. But we aren't going at that much detail today. So if it costs you your piece, maybe too much time, then it's too expensive. So what are your non-negotiables? Is it things like, well, I am going to go into school for 7:45, but I'm going to be gone by 4:15. Is it maybe things like no work after 6? Or is it maybe, at least one school-free weekend day a week? So again, this is going to be different to different people, particularly primary, secondary, further ed. All these things are going to be slightly different, so it's not a one-size-fits-all. So maybe really easy places to start is turning notifications off for your email. Remember when it was fairly new to us, maybe going back 10 years ago, that was great. You get, your work emails on your phone, it's brilliant. But then we kind of found out, well, hang on, this means we're connected all the time. And then the guilt's coming into it. So yeah, can you do that? Maybe deleting your Outlook or your Gmail from your phone. So the only time you're going to be able to access those emails is when you're actually on the laptop. Could you set up an auto reply? Thanks for your message, but I only respond to emails between 8 and 6 or 8 and 5, maybe, things like that. So things like with a phone, so you get rid of that connectivity a bit, and then setting the work hours, as I said. So are you gonna just say, look, I'm not gonna work through my lunch. I'm just gonna have a complete digital detox. I'm actually gonna talk to somebody, or I'm gonna phone my partner, things like that. What are you gonna do? Set in when you're going in, when are you going to leave by, because it can be very easy with no education, schools. A lot of the time you're firefighting and you've either got all these extra things to do, then you might say, I'm going to leave at 4:30, but then before you know it's 6:30. And then it's thinking about how can you reframe and set these boundaries. I'm sorry I can't run this new club this term, but I'm happy to revisit it next year or next term. I'm more than happy to support you with X, but I'm going to need, Y days notice just so I can do it properly. Can you be using some of the marking shortcuts for your whole class feedback, your stamps, your verbal feedback? Now, I know there's umpteen different ways schools do it, and they've all got your separate ways to do it, so you'll have to personalise that, they're setting that in. And then your personal boundaries, things like, well, it's Sunday, that's just it. You're not even going to switch your laptop on. That's a rest day, that's a family day maybe. Or you going to commit and maybe say, look, I am going to go to the gym twice a week. Or I am going to, because I am leaving school here on these 3 or 4 days, I'm going to go for a walk every evening. Or I'm going to start doing the dog walk on an evening. And plan it into your diary, something I do all the time. I used to just run this constant to-do list. Everything I'm doing now goes into my Google Calendar, and if it's not in the calendar, probably going to forget about it or won't get done. So it's having that in there, all the things I'm going, even personal stuff, so it's got to go in there. Family dinner time, maybe family TV time. Are you going to switch your phone on? Are you just going to put it in a different room? Put it in the drawer? It's funny, isn't it, how we always get on to the kids about, the phones, but actually we're probably the worst for it. Communicating without guilt. And this is probably one of the most challenging things that teachers struggle with, is saying no because they feel guilty. We'll get into teaching because we're people pleasers. We want to help people, want to help the children, want to help the team, help people work, want to help the school and all that type. And when people ask for stuff, we just say yes. Because we want to, agree. I'm a team player, I'm part of school and I'm doing me best. Problem with that is, you're going to end up burning out. And when cynically, when certain people know, you say yes all the time, they're just going to keep coming to you because they know you're going to say yes. So it's an easy option, so you can find you're being taken for granted. So boundaries die when we're over-explain, when we're kind of trying to think of an excuse is on the run and, I'd like to, and then we'll just end up saying, it's easy, I'll just say it. So keep it polite, keep it firm, keep it simple. So here's some scripts that might help you. So feel free to kind of go back and write these down or personalise it your own. I'm sorry I'm not able to take that on right now. I'm only checking my emails during working hours. I'll reply then. I like to give this my best, so I'm going to need more time to do that. Sorry that doesn't fit with my priorities this term. Practice saying it out loud until it feels less okay. I think, how am I going to say that to the head, or how am I going to say this to the head department or whatever? Even things like, I can't commit to that right now, but I'll check my diary and I'll get back to you. That gives you the time to come up with a perfect excuse. So if you're ever on the spot, I need to check my diary and I'll get back to you. But that's a great one. So if you tend to fold, let's check, get back to you, as I just said. These little things here can make a huge difference. And when you're finding, or people are finding that you're not always saying yes anymore, or you're not that easy person to go to, start asking other people. Or even better, start doing it yourself. So yeah, what I would like you to do is to look at those things that we have looked at. How to spot your leaks. You should have a little list now, thinking, yep, this is me, I'm always checking my phone and this and that. Start to create those non-negotiables. What are you Just, sorry, that's not even on the table. That is not what I'm about. Those are in line with your values. And then communicating without even feeling guilt. I think a big step as well is actually, in a couple of those, I said, oh, I'm sorry, but you don't have to say sorry. You know, I've come across lots of teachers during my time of teaching, and, you know, even if it's not their fault, they're saying sorry, they're apologising for everything. Get that out of your system. I can't do that. I don't have the time. So communicating with, like, a practice, do in front of the mirror, write it down, create some post-it notes. So here's some actions for you. Write your number one boundary on a post-it note tonight. Get that written down. Stick it on your laptop, your planner, your fridge. Commit to that one for 7 days. And at the end, like, to reflect, did this number one boundary make me feel calmer, less stressed, more present? If it does, or you feel a bit more confident, maybe commit to 2 or 3. Write them down. Say, this is what I'm going to do for the next 7 days. You know, some other really good examples that you can do is blocking off your time. One of the things that teachers try to do is to multitask. And actually, it's one of the worst things you can do, because you'll end up, you send an email, someone comes in, you sort of talk to them, you want to help them out, you go and you do that, you come back. And something I used to find, I just used to make an absolute arse of it. So I'd send the email, it was rubbish, because I'd maybe been kind of interrupted, and I'd started it one point and then I finished off later on, and it was, you know, spelling mistakes and stuff, and it just, because we need that focus time. Block off your time to do certain tasks. Make sure people know you're unavailable. If you've got an office, just put on there, do not disturb. You know, put your do not disturb on your phone after a certain time. You know, all I've got a work bag. Where does your work bag live? If you're in the sitting room and your lounge and your work bag's there, the temptation is just to pick it up. If it lives kind of under the stairs where the coats are and the shoe, then leave it there. If it's out of the way, you're less tendency to pick that up. Batching tasks. So if you've got to do some marketing, you've got to send some emails, set those slots there again. So just right, I'm going to do 30 minutes more. I'm going to do 30 minutes sending emails. Not like the scattergun approach. You know, is either you're teaching or you're doing this task, and email comes, you feel like you've got to reply to it straight away. Oh, I've got to send, you know, and then you're doing that, and then you just rush now, and then you end up being a jack of all trades and a master of none. So yeah, just doing it in certain slots. If someone's got to wait, you know, an hour, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, then that's just tough. We teach students about routines, you know, and we try to reduce the workload, but we're not very good at doing that ourselves. So get into a routine that works for you. If you would like some extra support with this, then, you know, drop us a DM. We're going to jump on a call. We're going to have a conversation about what are these roadblocks? What's holding you back? Where would you want to be? And how we can get there. Hope this helps.